Right, well, thank you all. I'll ditto everything from delegates Warman and Wallach, and of course Senator Love, who couldn't be here, I think agrees with everything that we are presenting to you as well. Really appreciate you all being here. I know you do a lot of these. You can't say it, but I will. I know they're a slog, so appreciate your time and attention. Although, Derek, you only have to do 2 of them, so consider yourself lucky. And we're really happy to have you working as our district engineer for Montgomery and Prince George's County. I'm going to run through, as I do, a bunch of different things. Obviously, Madam Secretary, respond to whatever you want to, but I'll suggest some things I'm hoping you can respond to tonight, and then others, appreciate your follow-up. You will be hearing from me. We've heard a little bit from Jonathan and the county council and county executive representatives about Metro, WMATA. WMATA has a math problem, Madam Secretary. We were all involved in a deal with your former boss, Secretary Wiedefeld, 7 years ago for a flat amount of money. That flat amount of money has not grown because it's flat. So in addition to inflation eroding away at it, they've also bonded a lot of it. And so you're talking a lot about safety. I agree with you. Safety is paramount. We do not want to end up where we were 10 years ago with an unsafe metro system that there are track fires literally every day. And so we need to take some action. And for District 16, we have 5 metro stations that sort of border our district, so it's really important for our residents. On the Purple Line, I want to thank you for all the progress and the updates. Really excited that we've heard that the trail will be completed and I think maybe open prior to the revenue service on the train. District 18 will be up to talk more about this, but I just want to sort of back them up on, trying to get to more detail about how that's going to work between the state and the county so that we can actually bring that to fruition, which is really exciting. And again, I know District 18 will talk more about this, but we're really happy that MTA, Maryland Transit Administration, has decided to follow through on getting the trail open early. So thank you. Similarly, for the Maryland Transit Administration, there's been a little bit of discussion tonight about improvements on the Brunswick line, but I'm hoping if there's time, Madam Secretary, the Administrator could talk more about some of what's being contemplated there and what actual work is starting to move forward. There's also been, of course, talk tonight about the American Legion Bridge. I've heard a lot of people talking about a resizing or something, and I actually don't know what they're talking about, so would really appreciate, maybe not tonight, Madam Secretary, but at some point an actual update on where that stands. I actually asked for something similar last year and never really got it. I know you all are very busy. You have another very big bridge project that Director Gartner is obviously very involved with, along with the rest of you, but, would really like to know where things stand. And I'll just say that I recognize that, we have to do something within the next 10 years or so as a safety matter. So I think we all need to start agreeing on what that something is and start moving forward together. It sounds like maybe some people have agreed on it. I'm not sure what they're talking about though. So looking forward to that update. Administrator Neiser, I'm glad Delegate Warman got our license renewed. Did want to mention that we have, I think, one do-it-yourself vehicle emissions inspection program station in Montgomery County. You have a new contract now, which I think allows the expansion of that program. So I think we'd love to see more of those in Montgomery County, where we have, despite my best efforts, quite a few drivers who need to use those stations. Before I get to some specific safety highway projects, I do want to put a little plug in for Chair Polakovich-Carr. She had a great bill a few years ago on Vision Zero implementation, and we have this Vision Zero implementation committee that meets every quarter. Administrator Neiser chairs that, Administrator Pines participates, Director of the MDTA participates, but it's a really, I would just, for anybody who's watching this, all 10 of you, it's a really great thing where they look very closely at the causation of some of the incidents we're seeing along our roadways where bicyclists and pedestrians in particular are getting killed or seriously injured and work towards solutions. To avoid some of those situations, I did want to ask, we've been working with Derek and Montgomery Parks on protection for the Cabin John Trail Crossing at River Road, MD 190, but also Bradley Boulevard, MD 191. I think the River Road one was initiated by Parks, so they're very committed to it. But, I think we raised the need to do the same thing on MD 191. So I'm not quite sure what the status of MD 191 is, so hoping you can provide an update on that. Also wanted to bring up Maryland 187, Old Georgetown Road and Cordell. A number of years ago, you all put in flashing beacons. We are supposed to get a pedestrian refuge and additional beacons in soon. I think that work was supposed to start last month. It hasn't started yet, at least not as of yesterday when I drove by. There's no visible work. In September of 2018, we took a safety walk with State Highway, and that's when that project came about. So it's been over 7 years. So I'm hoping that we might see the pedestrian refuge start to rise out of the ground soon. So no need to comment on that right now, but hoping for some progress there in the near future. I did just want to raise a couple other issues briefly around the manual on uniform traffic control devices. I remember being in this room probably 8 years ago, hearing from your predecessors that Hawk signals were illegal under the manual, and that we could not do improvements like that without violating the manual. And recently, we were told we couldn't paint the box at an intersection that didn't have a traffic light because that was illegal under the manual. We asked why. We said, can we ask Federal Highway about this? Federal Highway is actually closed right now, but State Highway came back and said, actually, we will do the painting, which I appreciate. And I actually was driving this weekend. Yes, I was driving on Connecticut Avenue, and I saw actually this already exists at Connecticut and Chevy Chase Lake. So actually, this is happening in other places as well. But it just makes me a little concerned that we're using the manual to say no to things that maybe are actually totally permissible under the manual and done in other places. And the latest example is hidden driveways. We're being told that hidden driveway signs are not allowed under the manual. And I wouldn't recommend a hidden driveway sign on 270 or maybe even River Road. But as you know, what we call state highways, many of them run through very residential areas like Bradley Boulevard. And so I'm just hoping we can look at the manual with the same flexibility and creativity that other jurisdictions seem to look at it, and get back to yes a lot faster rather than just falling back on the manual to say that something's illegal. So with that, there's a lot of things other things I could thank you for, as out of character as that would be. We really appreciate the close partnership with Derek on all sorts of projects we're not bringing up here. We do have a great working relationship. He meets with us every quarter, going through all our different constituent requests, and we really appreciate him as well as the rest of you. And welcome any responses you want to give tonight, Madam Secretary, or at the time of your choosing.
I think we can knock through a few of these this evening. I will use my random number generator to start with perhaps with Administrator Arnold, an update on Brunswick Line specific investments, what came out of MARC Growth and Transformation Plan, what we're doing right now, and what we very much hope to be moving forward with.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So we, in I know you have read, but the MARC Growth and Transformation Plan, those of you who haven't, I would really encourage you to take a look at it. It does outline what our vision is, 515 and kind of unconstrained vision for MARC service. And a lot of it is focused on the Brunswick line because we do see a ton of opportunity there. So start with state of good repair because we have to maintain what we have. We have really focused on state of good repair on the Brunswick line over the past year, including platform rehabs and station rehabs and shelters at a number of different stations, as well as some tire replacements on the Frederick branch. The big project that we're undertaking now is following with the Silver Spring Turnback. So that is a project that would permit future Brunswick line frequencies to originate and terminate at Silver Spring Station. We do think that is a really good opportunity on the Brunswick line because there's a lot of space constraints between Silver Spring and into Union Station, and we think we can get a lot more service there. So we're working very closely with CSX. So we're starting 15% design now. We do have funding for that to move forward in the CTP. Smaller project on the Brunswick line, we are also coordinating with the town of Kensington on the overpass feasibility study. So moving forward with that project as well. And we're continuing to have discussions with CSX in terms of what it will take to have additional service, particularly midday service, as we know that there's a lot of opportunity associated with that. I can take the purple line if you want me to.
Save it for 18.
Okay.
Yeah. That sounds good for now. Maybe let's turn over to State Highway to Derek or to Will for some of the local updates. We'll give Derek maybe a little bit more time to pull up notes. But even before turning it over to Will, Mr. Chair, your comments on MUTCD are well taken, and I think are part of the broader culture shift that we're really looking to accomplish in terms of everything that we're looking at in terms of how we deliver safety projects. Certainly, we have those resources there as a guide, but we also have a lot of other tools and professional judgment that we can use when trying to figure out what the best safety solution is for any corridor. Also appreciate your mention of Delaware blockage cars legislation that led to the safety reviews. I think Administrator Neiser has really taken to heart how we're working through those along with others up here and other staff who participate in those meetings. And we've had conversations just acknowledging what we're learning as we work through that process to make sure that we are really trying to find the most benefit in the analysis and it will be an evolving process. Certainly, I think it's been a very enlightening one for us so far. But with that, I will turn it over to Administrator Pines and Mr. Gunn for updates on some of the local issues that Mr. Chair and other members of the District 16 panel have brought to our attention.
So I'll start, and then I'll go to our district engineer. Chair, I do want to thank you for the compliments too. As rare as they may be, Derek is phenomenal, and I recognize that, so thank you. On American Legion Bridge, what was referenced this evening earlier in the comments was that when we had our prior public meetings, if you recall, the segment went from the American Legion Bridge all the way up to the ICC. What kind of developed through the public engagement process that we had, it's been a little while ago now, I agree with that feedback, is that we truncated the segment of the corridor from American Legion Bridge up to the spur, took out the section that's really through Rockville, and then added into the CTP the section north of the inter-county connector, where really we heard a lot of feedback that the upper county wants to see improvements on 270. And as you said, a lot of the focus in the lower segment is really on the safety of the bridge, the multimodal connectivity, and the bike and pedestrian amenities that would come. So that's really what was talked about by the smaller program. In a way, it's bigger by adding in 270 North, but it's smaller in terms of those in Rockville that we're making those comments. In terms of Cordell, Derek informed me that our Office of Traffic and Safety is working with the county to deliver the materials for that. I know one of my first days in this job, we talked about your skepticism about us getting that project done, and Derek assures me it is moving in partnership with the county. So, and then on the MUTCD, we actually are actively working with Federal Highway to update the manual into the new year. It incorporates a lot of the safety improvements in the pedestrian bicycle safety front that came with the Federal Highway 11th edition. We've been, as Director Conklin mentioned, working hand in glove with them to update our speed policy, to focus a lot more on having speed management policies that will help us to reduce speeds on roadways and protect lives. But there is it's probably, I've talked to at least 5 of you in the room about the MUTCD at different points. In reality, most of the deviations that we've had away from MUTCD, from an engineering standpoint, we technically should not have, but we take a risk in that the manual, it is implied in law that we should be following it in order to retain our federal funds. However, we do work with our federal partners to try to get relief in that whenever possible to work with constituents. So my team did make me aware of the hidden driveway issue, and I commit that we will take another look at that. Turn it over to Derek to talk about 191.
Sure. Thank you, Administrator Pines. And just to kind of put a bow on the MUTCD situation, we'll be alert to existing guidance and the shall versus the shoulds. We'll make sure that we take a careful look at those. I'm going to go back to the delegates' initial comments first about Maryland 614 and Maryland 190 on River Road. Thank you for acknowledging and mentioning some of the improvements recently that have been made. Very important project that just got completed. We just put the flex posts and the signage to complement the green colored bike lanes. So that part is complete. And to your point about lighting, that will be part of the larger project that's under design right now. CRP funding, so that'll be moving forward, and we'll be taking a look at lighting, some other conditions near the bridge, near Landy Lane. 614, appreciate the opportunity to go out on the walk audit. Some of our maintenance and traffic folks, they're following up on some of the findings from that audit, so you should be seeing some notable progress, particularly with brush and tree clearing very soon, if not already in progress. I'll shift to the delegate in terms of the 190 and the 190. And 191 situation. So 190, the PHB, the hog signal, that was permitted already, and construction can start any day now. They have a carte blanche to do that. They be in parks. Still trying to get a beat on 191 a little bit more. The last time that we tracked this, it was going through the plan review cycle, and my guess is that that's still ongoing right now, but we'll follow up with our reviewers and I'll circle back with you, delegate.
If I could just, on the brush management as well, I know that's a important topic for us at State Highway. Statewide, it's a big challenge. Historically, we utilize federal funds to remove invasive species, And that is something that we're reinitiating to try to pursue. That program kind of came to an end a few years ago. And so the team has largely been relying on our operating budget to do the tree and brush, and it just hasn't been enough to keep up with it. Derek's team has been out on the Capitol Beltway doing a lot of the removal recently, but we know it's an issue in a lot of your communities and frankly statewide for that matter. So we're working hard to develop new strategies to try to get ourselves caught up with how much growth has developed over the years.
Thank you, Will and Derek. I guess just to kind of close out the responses in regard to the WMATA math problem, in a way, as you're hearing tonight, lots of discussion of unfunded needs here at the department across modes, and also thinking about the transit system that we operate in the Baltimore area. Some could say that there's math problems all around, but we do very much appreciate the regional commitment and collaboration that has been brought forward through the DMV News Initiative. Appreciate Jonathan's work, Assistant Secretary Joe McAndrew in the audience this evening as well, and just look forward to the discussions to come and even the days ahead on that piece. I think that a lot of progress has been made there, and certainly we want to be part of the conversation going forward to make sure that all those safety needs, all those concerns, everywhere we don't want to head back to. I just want to emphasize for everyone watching that we share that same concern and commitment for the Baltimore system as well. So we will just be thinking through that with that statewide lens as we move forward with that effort. Oh yeah, sure. Thank you, Chrissy. So sorry.
Of course. So I know it's everybody's top of mind, our vehicle emissions kiosks, but they are very popular in Montgomery County in particular. It actually is the highest volume of any of our kiosks throughout the VEEP network. And so we do have a new contract. As the chair indicated, we are currently in the process of transitioning to a new IT system, which will allow real-time communication, which is great because that means if you go to get your VEEP test, it'll automatically be updated in your system, especially the end of the month. That's helpful for our customers who need to do that vehicle registration renewal. Subsequent to that, we do have the capacity to get up to 15 new kiosks in addition to what already exists in the network. And so we know that at least one of them will be here in Montgomery County. We will do about 8 with the initial rollout, and then see where we go from there. And so at least one of those 8 will be here. Certainly we'll make those decisions by the end of the year, and we'll provide updates to you in terms of where those locations will be. Thank you.
Thank you.